AJ Benza, one of Misunderstood's favorite guests, back on the show. Thank you for joining me again. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. The opening of that video, God, there's so many of my friends there. I mean, Bo Dietl gave me my start when it came to visiting Manhattan and nightlife. And Kato Kell and I are great friends. Crystal Hefner, I know. I mean, those faces just flew by. I know so many of those people. I don't know why you and I didn't meet.
I know it is crazy. We always say that it's so bizarre we didn't meet. I probably tried to stay far away from you.
Probably, yeah.
and you probably wanted to get the dirt on what the hell.
I would have had a ball with your life. Trust me. Yeah, no.
But yeah, no, we always have so much fun when you were here. I'm happy to see that you feel better. Last time you were a little.
Oh, let me address that real quick. Yeah, I was not only was I ill, I had been drinking heavily. And it was really causing a lot of problems in my life and my relationship with my girlfriend. And I had said something on the last show, I believe, that probably sounded a little crazy. Maybe you don't even remember it. I thought that we were breaking up. I mentioned that I'm going to have to start dating again. And I was just, not happy about it. But actually, what she was doing was she was just putting me in my place and more or less telling me, clean your act up or I'm gone. So I cleaned my act up. And now we're moving forward. But sometimes, you've been around men that you've dated or been with that have had those issues, addiction issues.
Yeah, of course. And it's hard to, you got to learn how to put your foot down without, and have some boundaries. And sometimes that sounds, too much for them.
You need somebody to really care about you and basically tell you, look, I'm going to do this, but if you don't listen to me, I'm out. You need someone to really wake you up.
Yeah.
And, she's the kind of woman that I would not want to lose. So I woke up and now we move forward. And just so you know, this is how open and honest I am. In the background of my room is my son, 16 years old. I don't hide anything from him. He hears everything I say sometimes when he's with me now. So that's how open and honest I am. I don't really care what I say because I know it's true and honest. And that's the way I believe people should be.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I do know that for me, I have been through relationships that have ended. I don't know if you remember, I dated former baseball star Brett Boone. Do you know?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that vaguely.
Yeah, and he had a major alcohol problem. And so much so that he had to breathe into a breathalyzer 4 times a day, couldn't get it in the car without doing it. While I was with him, he had to go to rehab 4 times or something.
Oh, wow.
And to this day, we'll speak if we have to, but he would say he hates me because I helped his mom, put him back in rehab because I loved him so much.
That's love. That's out of love.
Yeah. And I think he's still not at a point in his life where he knows that
so
was
sad.
me trying to do the best.
That happens. The line gets blurred sometimes. If you're with somebody that loves you and you're having a great time together and suddenly you can't put the brakes on the fun and the other person can, it's a little weird. Like, what's wrong? We were always like this. You used to like this. But then those people need to wake you up and make you realize you're headed down the wrong road and I'm not going to join you. So I'm glad she did. And
I'm glad you're doing better. So
yeah, I am.
Sound better. I'm so happy to see you. So
you sure the glasses are okay? I always feel like I look like a nerd.
You look terrific. You honestly do.
All right.
So all right. So let's get everyone into, all the things about gossip because you are the OG, the guru.
Yeah.
I texted you the other night because I was watching the Cindy Adams docuseries Gossip, which if people haven't seen it yet, you really have to see it. I think it's a 4-part series.
I'm on that.
Yes,
right? Yeah,
I'm on it. Yeah. And if our listeners haven't seen it, you really should. It's the history of gossip, but through the eyes of people like you. Perez Hilton is interviewed, and obviously Cindy Adams, who is 94 now, if people can believe it. And she was the ultimate in gossip.
She was the matriarch,
the matriarch, and the people she knew, the things she protected, the barter deals she did. It was an incredible docuseries, and it was great to see you on it. You had so many inside scoop stories that I had forgotten, talking about Tupac, talking about the things going down with Richard Johnson, and so you are the guy that knows.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Cindy initially didn't really jive with me because I think she resented how fast I came up the ranks.
Yeah.
And she didn't want me to be in a profile picture. New York Magazine did an article called The Gossip Mafia. And she didn't want me on the cover. I really got pissed off. I let her have it. I shouldn't have said some things I said. And we didn't like each other. But then we were doing Geraldo every week during the O.J. Simpson trial, and we got to like each other. and I have the utmost respect for her. What people don't realize about gossip columnists is they tend to think we only write what's in that little column. What they don't realize is we have so many tips and sources that we have to protect that sometimes we'll go to the editors and say, listen, I have a big story on such and such, but I can't have my name attached to it. So someone else has to write it, but I'll give them the facts. Cindy's done that about 10,000 times with international breaking news. She's that plugged in, even at that age. I love her, and I hope she lasts another 100 years, but she won't. But there's no one like her, and there never will be again. She's a relic and a beautiful dinosaur of what the journalism was and is no more.
Well, and actually, I was going to bring this up at the end, but let's talk about it now. How do you think the landscape of celebrity gossip has changed from when you started to now? Because and we've talked about it in the past, the level of like social media journalists or people that just get into gossip without any, knowledge about it, any facts. I mean, you guys were intimately speaking to people that wanted to have their story narrated a certain way, or they wanted to protect something. It's a totally different landscape. But what in your opinion has changed so much?
Well, what changed is everybody's a writer now. Everybody can get on their laptop and go in their basement, which is a trivial way of classifying these people. But, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok have changed the way people get their news. It used to be in my day, I didn't even know I was going to be a gossip columnist. I just was told to go to a party. I liked it, and I just started writing it. And next thing I know, I'm a gossip columnist. I was a sports writer. But there were only about 15 of us in the country, I believe, that did gossip. Now, I don't know, is there 15,000, 100,000 people, 1 million people who put stories online, and people like you and other people, myself, we read these stories and think it's true. These are people without any journalism credentials. They just think they know what it means to be a gossip columnist, and they don't. Anybody can be a tattletale and tell a story about what they heard. Yeah. But it's a different thing to be a reporter, to muscle into that crowd, to get beyond the ropes and sit in the same tight booths as those celebrities do, have them trust you. That takes a lot of work. It's like infiltrating a different world, and they have to like you. Even though they know you're out there for stories, you can live in that world and survive if you placate them and placate the paper. It's a very delicate dance.
And can you talk about some of the friendships you made over those years? Like you had such huge celebrity friendships. Nancy
Sinatra, Tupac Shakur and I were tight for a few years. George Clooney and I used to go out together. He won't take my phone call. I don't call him, but if I did, he wouldn't pick up. But you name it, I was friends with them. I was friends with so many celebrities. Sylvester Stallone comes to mind. Way before I started Rocky Balboa with him, it was 1996, I believe. He had an issue with something, and I went down to Miami to meet him. He took me in his house. He explained his issue, and I fixed it for him. I don't know how many fixes there are left anymore in this gossip trade, but I was like a Ray Donovan type. I broke a lot of stories, but then there were phone calls. Mickey Rourke is a great example. Was a really tight friend of mine when he was down and out. And, I protected these guys. At the same time, I had a column to fill. So it's a lot of give and take, a lot of bartering. I'll hide that story, but give me something else. It's, like I said, very delicate. It's like tap dancing on thin ice in a lake.
Well, that brings me to a question, though, about this whole catch and kill stuff that came out with, Trump.
Ronan Farrow and Trump.
And Ronan Farrow. And people were like so astonished that this was a thing. But this has been a thing forever.
Happens every day. Happens every day. You just, it's all about how much, I don't want to say power, but if you can help somebody by catching the story and killing it, that person, be it Trump or anybody else, is indebted to you, and then will give you stories or give you tips, not in a certain cartoony way of going, hey, by the way, I heard this is happening. But you'll tell them, this story's going to die with me, okay? No one's going to know about this affair. I did that with Mel Gibson, another guy I ran with. Mel Gibson had, 6 kids when he was messing around with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and I knew he was. I protected him. I made sure that story was about me and the girl, not him and the girl. Subsequently, he put me in a movie. I like to think it was because of my acting ability, but I think it was because he liked what I did him as a favor. I don't know. It wasn't a big scene. I actually got cut out. But there's a lot of that going on. I'm not sure that still happens today. I don't see any gossip columnists. making their way onto the screen. After Perez Hilton, who did gossip in a very different way than I did, can you tell me who the latest gossip columnist is that's made noise, that people know, that people see has his own TV show? Or no, I don't. I mean, Harvey Levin, who I knew years ago before TMZ, he made it an industry, and my hat's off to him. But no one will ever approach gossip like it was in the 90s. No one will ever have the name recognition that I or some of my people that I ran with, like a Richard Johnson, they're not going to have that anymore. George Rush, Joanna Malloy. There was a lot of us that really broke big stories that we moved on. I haven't moved on. I'm still doing it, but I'm doing it on podcasts now instead of newspapers.